Welcome to the Find Your Ultra podcast, episode 11. If you're a regular listener of this show, you already know that I'm deeply interested in the science of longevity, how we can live our lives longer and improve our health spans. Two of the biggest factors that we have under our control to a large extent are nutrition and exercise. According to Dr. Peter Attia, someone I follow and deeply admire, exercise is hands down the best thing that we can do to improve our health and offset some of the effects of environment, prevent or delay the onset of some of the diseases that kill us. So I want all my listeners to incorporate exercise into their routines. Now let's be honest, not everyone loves running, not everyone likes going to the gym, but fortunately now there are alternate ways to stay fit. In this episode, we speak with Adhiraj Neogi, who is a former national level badminton player. He was national rank 2 in sub-junior doubles, national rank 6 in singles and 3 in juniors badminton. Adhiraj is also an SRCC and ISB Hyderabad alumni. In this conversation, Adhiraj talks about his life journey where he played badminton, got close to the top, and then he had to give it up and get into a corporate life where he consulted with the likes of EY and Deloitte, and how a small incident reignited his love for the sport and led him to found Racket Ninja. Adhiraj's story is a case study in itself on how playing a sport can boost the overall quality of one's life and improve not only the physical but also works wonder for the mental health. It is time to dive right into this short and insightful conversation. Here's me and Adhiraj Neogi in the Find Your Ultra podcast, episode 11. Indulge away. Welcome to Find Your Ultra podcast, Adhiraj.
Thank you, Vipin. It's so lovely to be speaking to you. We've had several conversations on the phone, and it is so nice to have you here at our academy and talking about badminton. I think this is the best. This is my favorite topic, and I hope I'll thoroughly enjoy this.
Yes, so yeah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
So Adhiraj, the reason we are doing this podcast is, first of all, I am glad that you reached out to us. I'm glad that I got to know of you, because I really loved our first conversation. I really loved the enthusiasm, the energy. I of course also realized that you have good subject matter knowledge. I realized that, but what mattered to me even more than that was the passion and the energy with which you were speaking about this. I was like, okay, so this is somebody who can add value to people's lives, and we should have the conversation. Yeah. So Adhiraj, before we get into these alternate forms of fitness, let us get to know you. You have been a national level player, badminton player.
Yeah.
You are still pretty athletic. You don't look 35 for sure. I just told you.
Thank you.
I love being around athletes. I really wish I was one. I really wish in my childhood somebody had encouraged sports a little bit more, but I had a completely sedentary childhood.
I see.
But now I am an athlete of sorts, an amateur athlete, but there's no match for athletes like you. Yeah.
Vipin, thank you for the compliments. And, to start with, I would just like to say that these days, before I go into a bit more about myself, I would just like to make a small conversation that these days, the kind of opportunities that people have and the kind of temperament that people have, which is very positive, and it does not stop them from getting out from their daily routines and trying out something new and making new goals in life, right? More people are into a fitness format, into sports, into different formats of fitness. I think that's a trend which is strongly building in India.
For sure.
And I think that is here to stay, right? And just a bit about myself, I was a badminton athlete for a very long time. In fact, since I was the age of 6 till the age of, I would say, 21, 22.
Give us a little bit of context and background. Where were you born?
So I was born in West Bengal. So I was born in Jalpaiguri, West Bengal, but my family moved from West Bengal quite early, when I was 6 months old. So I've been brought up in Chandigarh. So we moved to Chandigarh. I've been brought up in Chandigarh. My dad is a doctor, but he's also a former cricketer, right? So, he played for Haryana schoolboys, and that's where the sport gene came into play, because, he always wanted to expose me to sports. Apart from academics, of course, academics is important, but, a holistic development in his mind was more important for a kid. right? So that's why he introduced me to running. In fact, like when I started early, he introduced me to running, he introduced me to swimming, and badminton kind of happened by chance because, like he used to play with all his, badminton friends. I used to accompany him, and, I used to enjoy the sport. I used to watch him play, and that's where I picked up the sport, and he slowly put me under a coach, and that's where it began.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's very impressive. Yeah. So Adhiraj, when did you develop? When did you get serious about badminton? Then how did that happen?
So this is actually a funny story. Like earlier, I used to play, but my kind of playing was just going in the evenings, meeting friends, kids of the same age, like 6, 7, 8, boys and girls play together. Like we used to play badminton, we used to play hide and seek and all these things. But like once, like we have these district championships in Panchkula. So and we used to stay in Panchkula. And we just thought that I should participate in that championship. So I went for that championship, and I had a very good semi-final with a colleague of mine. It was a 3-setter, and it was very intense and very taxing. Right? That was the first time I realized that, okay, this is a game, and like everybody is here to win. When I saw him compete against me for each and every point, like I realized, okay, this is the spirit with which a sport needs to be played. And the funny part is that in that match, like at that point of time, not every tournament had a generator, right? So it was a single court hall. It was a community center rather. And in the middle of the match, there was a power cut.
Oh.
Right? And we had to play with the doors and windows open so that we could see the shuttle. But even after that, like the match was very intense, and I somehow managed to reach the final. Of that tournament. This was Panchkula District Badminton Championships. And when I reached the finals, like I was so happy that I won the semi-final, and I was a kid, right? So I didn't know. I was so happy winning the semi-final that like I just gave away the final. I did not even play the match properly. I was just happy being in the final. I thought I had a good match, and I was just like happy-go-lucky. Ho gaya.
You got relaxed.
I got relaxed, and I lost the finals terribly, right? But then after losing the finals, like I didn't feel that great. Like that's when my dad checked me. He said, "What's up? Like, what's wrong with you?" I said, "Like, I don't feel really great losing a match the way I did in the finals." So he said, "Yeah, because you threw away the match, right? That's not how we play a sport. Like when you play a sport, irrespective of whether you're winning or losing, you fight for every point. That's the spirit of a sportsman." Right? And not to give an inch of your territory, to fight for every inch, that should be your spirit, right? It doesn't matter if you lose after that, but at least you should have fought well. So I said, okay, then what do I have to do? So my dad told me honestly, and he was very blunt with me. He said, it's a lot of hard work. So you think properly. Do you want to do this? Because he's been a sportsman, right?
Yeah.
He told me clearly, it's a lot of hard work, right? 8 to 9 hours of training a day. Are you ready for that? So I said, yes. And I remember my exact words were, I asked him, like, what is the best in this? Like, he said, the best in a sport is a champion, right? So I said, okay, I want to be a champion. He said, okay, so ek kaam karte hain. Tomorrow onwards, we start running 6 kilometers every day. Tomorrow morning onwards, I will go on my scooter or my cycle. You run along with me, and we'll go to the swimming pool. We'll swim for 1 hour and come back. Let me see if you can sustain this for 1 month. Okay. If you're able to sustain this for 1 month, then we'll take the next step. So that's how it started. And the rigor with which we did this every day, first, of course, like the first few days I was a bit, okay, like what did I really sign up for? But after the first 10-15 days, when my body started reacting, when I felt the improvement in my game, and I felt the movement because I was gaining a lot of strength through swimming as well, and my smashes started going really hard, that's when I kind of got hooked to it. That's how it started. That's where the competitive streak started. Yeah.
So it was him telling you about what it takes to be a sportsman.
Absolutely.
And the spark really came from experiencing that match. You realized your friend was competing against you.
Exactly.
Ye sport ye hai, bhai.
Yeah. Because usse pehle, everything for me was casual. Okay, we are playing badminton, we are playing a lot of things. Right? It was just like that before that.
Yeah. And then, so it was the first time you experienced what it means to like give it your all.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were being
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. And after this, what happened, like after this particular district badminton championship, it had been like, I think 5 or 6 months that I had been training. And I just heard someone say, यार ये ना हरियाणा स्टेट बैडमिंटन चैंपियनशिप आ रहा है और जो स्टेट चैंपियन होता है ना वो बहुत सही प्लेयर होता है. मैंने कहा अच्छा यार स्टेट चैंपियन क्या होता है? राइट, आई हैड नो क्लू. Right? Then I told my dad, I want to be a state champion. Right? He said, whatever you're doing, we'll have to do 2x of that. And it's very different kind of training. Are you ready for that? I again signed up for that. So that's how it kind of continued for me.
That is amazing. Okay. So then, so tell us about your badminton career then. Till which stage did you
yes.
reach?
This was...
what was the journey like?
Yeah, the story I just told you, this was, I would have been probably 7 or 8 around that time. But slowly I became the under 10 district champion. Then under 13 state champion, North Zone champion. I was India number 3 in under 13 doubles. In singles, I was ranked in the top 7. In the under 16, under 19 categories, again, I was consistently in the top 5 to 6 players in India. I got selected in the sub-junior Indian camp, through which the Indian team is selected. Under 19 and Open Nationals is the maximum, it's the highest tournament in a country. That's called the Open Nationals. So in the Open Nationals in, I think, 2006, we won the bronze medal in the team championships in the Open Nationals. Yeah.
Since you're talking about badminton, you might know Pranav Jerry Chopra.
Yes. Pranav is from Punjab. He used to play for Punjab. He was my junior.
Right.
Yeah.
So Pranav's elder brother is a good friend of mine. So
wow. Wonderful.
We were in the same university.
Small world.
In Cardiff, UK.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So I have known Pranav since he was since the time he was 3 feet something. Right. Then he grew up to be really tall. Really right. Tall, but he was always a fantastic doubles player. And the thing with Pranav is that earlier doubles was not that popular. Right. Doubles, people used to play, okay, singles haar gaye to doubles khel lete hain. Right. It was like that. But I think ye Pranav ka generation and a lot of people around that age. I think Pranav was there from Punjab. Rajkumar was there from Punjab. Gurbakh Singh was there from Punjab. Vijay Deep Singh, who was the chief national coach of India and who's also the coach of Satvik and Chirag. Right, he was the torch bearer for doubles, and he hailed from Punjab. So I think that kind of set the precedent for doubles being played in Punjab, and Pranav and all these people did really well in doubles. Yeah.
So and then at what point did you then move on to corporate life, and why did you? What happened?
Yeah. So I'll be very honest. I'm talking about the early 2000s. Early 2000s, between 2001 to probably 2010. That wasn't a very great time for other sports in India. Right? To be very honest.
2001 to what period are you mentioning?
So 2001, the year.
Okay.
Yeah, the year 2001 to 2010, we had lots of sports coming in India. Right. And of course, the predominant focus was always on cricket.
Always.
Right? And I believe a lot of other sports were getting overshadowed by cricket. And we weren't getting that one breakthrough, in a particular sport. Yeah. Because I had a similar, I remember when I was, I talked about this Open Nationals in which we won the bronze. I had an interview after the Open Nationals and, the person asked me, so what is your ambition in life? So I told him that my ambition in life is to become the world champion. Right? I wanted to be the world champion. That's what I played for. Every day, I believe every athlete in every sport who trains every day, who slogs it out 8 or 9 hours a day, is playing to be the world champion and nothing less. Right? And that's the spirit with which we worked. But, he also asked me, do you think that the system or the government or whatever the infrastructure is, that is enough for people and even a lot of expenses, right? In that entire process. Do you think that's enough? My single response to that was that it's upon us with the limited facilities, everything remaining constant. It's upon us to become the champions first. And if we do that with these conditions, other generations will follow. Right? Everything will pour in. And I think, one of us, Saina Nehwal was very successful in doing that. With the limited conditions, limited support, limited finances, she managed wonderfully well. She, brought laurels for our country. And I think an entire generation followed upon after that. Even Gopi Chand for that matter. Yeah. Right? Gopi Chand got that breakthrough. Saina got that breakthrough. And after that, sportsman after sportsman, players from sports which are unheard of, started winning international laurels, and that's how it continued.
No, that's true. That is true. Coming back to your journey, what year did you start corporate life, and what was it like to move away from the sport that you love so dearly? And how tough was that journey, and what was it like?
So it was actually quite tough. Because So ever since I started playing badminton, I had that single goal, right? And sometimes the goal also becomes very overbearing on a person, right? And when I was under 19, of course, we have this open nationals, and I was looking forward, and this was still when I was in my second year in under 19. That means I had one more year left to perform in under 19, which means that I would have been in the top 4 in the country in that year and probably gotten selected in the Indian team for under 19, right? But unfortunately, we lost that 1 year. Me and my entire batch, we lost that 1 year because the association decided that this year, from next year onwards, this tournament would be under 18. So all of us got thrown into the senior category, right? That was one of the things, but of course, that wasn't as disheartening. But the thing is that we were also in our 11th or 12th at that point of time, right? 11th or 12th, and we had to make serious decisions about our life.
Sort of decision point wherein
exactly.
Sports karna hai.
Exactly. So, and I think that's a point where every athlete needs to, that's something that every athlete needs to go through, where he weighs his career. And I was fortunate enough to get into SRCC at that point of time. And that's when I thought, okay, I can play, I can train in college as well, but probably I can also focus on my studies here. Right. So, I played for the first year in college, but slowly, I kind of shifted towards academics, and I got placed with Ernst & Young in my, I think, third year. I got placed with Ernst & Young, and that's when the corporate career started. But it was very difficult, even in the corporate career, because a sportsman is so used to a goal being in front of him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
all of a sudden, when that is taken away, it's like, what are we doing? Right. You're like, why all this hustle bustle? Why all this noise? What is happening around me? Right? Where is that objectivity? Right? And secondly, when you see, we went through a lot of tough times in our childhood. I think all athletes who grew up in 90s and early 2000s, with limited funds with the associations, we went through a lot. We had to manage a lot of things ourselves. And stay in
tell us some of those things.
So I'll give you an example. My first school nationals was in Bharuch, Gujarat. We traveled all the way from Chandigarh to Bharuch, Gujarat, which was 27 hours. We did not have reservations in the train.
What is it? Sorry, I'm cutting you there. What is it about Bharuch there? Because I have quite a few friends in Gujarat who are in Bharuch, and they also play badminton all the time. Is it वो गढ़ है क्या मतलब बैडमिंटन में कुछ है वहाँ पे?
So Bharuch has, as far as I know, Bharuch has this organization called Gujarat Narmada Valley Fertilizers Corporation, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And that corporation promotes badminton in a big way. Right? So that's why I think all the players around Bharuch, even from Bhuj and all these parts of Gujarat, they kind of are nested around Bharuch. Right? So we had a school nationals in Bharuch. That was my first school national when I was in class 6, I think. Class 6. Yeah, 6. So we had to travel from Chandigarh all the way to Bharuch, and we did not have reservations. So it was a 27-hour train journey, and we were in a general compartment, and we were just fixated in one corner. So if I were to tell you, I was just sitting like this for 27 hours. We were sitting with our legs folded on an upper berth in a train, probably 15 kids on the same berth, right? Man. You can't use the washroom because there are already people who are sitting there who are at home in the washroom.
Yeah, I've traveled.
You can't go there. And imagine, after that, after the 27 hours of that, you get out of the train, 10 o'clock in the morning, your match starts. Right? Yeah. So, that's just a small example, but I think all sportsmen in that generation are used to that. These days, people just go in one day before the tournament. They have flights connecting them. The organizations have a lot of money. But it was very normal for us to spread newspapers. If we didn't have berths, we would just spread newspapers in the aisle of the train. और कहीं भी सो के, कहीं भी जाके खेलना, धक्के खा लेना, कहीं भी रह लेना. You go to a gurdwara, you go to a dharmshala, just stay there and play a tournament and come back. Yeah. So
man, I just so wish that the state of athletes was better in this country. It is getting better though.
It is getting better. But so I don't want to mean this in any negative way. I think because we have done all these things, that we don't get intimidated very easily. By the different challenges that life throws at you. right? I think it's very important that like teenagers or adolescents in their developmental years are like, of course, not extreme situations, but kind of exposed to these situations, so that like they are prepared for what lies in store for them, like in the rest of their lives. Yeah.
Wonderful, sir. So before we move on to the alternate forms of fitness, just about your journey. I am a big sucker for learning from people's stories about how do they deal with the lows that they face.
Yeah.
So in this entire transition from being an athlete to a corporate guy, there must have been moments where you felt really. You must have had existential crisis. Like,
oh yes, talk about it.
I felt at one point I was feeling like I'm born to do this, and I'm not able to do this. And what does this life mean? What were those moments like? And tell.
Oh yes, so like when I entered the corporate life, I could not make head or tail out of it. Right, a lot of my friends were very focused. Of course, we got placed from the same college and stuff like that. A lot of my friends were very focused. I was not. Right, I was not, because like I couldn't just really understand why are we doing this. And because the entire goal had been taken away from me. So, like I would bunk office a lot. I would be on leave of absence. My managers would be very, very angry with me. Like, बहुत परेशान किया उनको. But, like that only lasted for the first 2 years. Like till the time I found my bearing there. But after that, I thought, okay, this is also a goal. This is all, like there's also some objectivity to it. Like when I started putting things into context, that's when I started doing well in my corporate life also. And I ended up spending like 12 to 13 years in consulting, like 9 years with Ernst & Young, almost 2.5 years with Deloitte in brand and strategy. But, like that all happened afterwards. But still I had this inkling, like, is this what I want to do in life? Like, or is there more? Is this what I want to do in life, or is there more? Like that kind of haunted me, that kind of pestered me, that kind of came back to me again and again. And like recently what happened, like when we were struck by COVID in 2020, after the lockdown, my wife also happens to be a former badminton player. Right? She is also a national badminton player. Her name is Payal, and she also used to play for Chandigarh. So Payal ne ऐसे बोला, and I hadn't touched the racket in like almost 12 years at that point of time in 2020. Right? She said कि ऐसी सीढ़ी 4 में जाके ना खेलते हैं. Right? क्योंकि जब lockdown हुआ था, we somehow managed to find our kit bag, and we pulled out 2 rackets and we started playing in the living room. ठीक है. So she said कि अब lockdown खुल गया है, चलो सीढ़ी 4 चलते हैं and let's play, let's see. And we didn't have shoes, we didn't have anything. ऐसे चल के देखते हैं. So we just went there, and without shoes. Because the guy won't allow us into the court without non-marking shoes. I didn't have non-marking shoes because I hadn't played in 12 years. I said, ऐसे ही नंगे पैर court में चलते हैं and let's start playing. And we played. And it felt fantastic. And I felt like, boss, where was this? All this time. Where was this?
You realized what you had been missing.
Exactly. And like we were just, because I had grown obese at that point of time. Because like I had a sedentary lifestyle. I was working 12-14 hours a day. Right, I was traveling a lot. I was traveling almost 5 times, 6 times a month.
You had become obese.
Yeah.
Really, you're slim. So this is like as an athlete, like.
This is all that I worked on in the last 1.5 years.
Wow.
Right, before that I was severely obese. I was like 15 kgs over this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's when it started, and then luckily I bumped into a kid there. Like he said कि भैया आप खेले हुए लग रहे हो, आप कौन हो? So I said कि हाँ मैं बहुत पहले खेलता था, अब तो नहीं खेलता, वैसे ही है. So he said okay. He told me that he was from an EWS background, which is an economically weaker section, and can I help him with sponsorship or something like that? So I told him, देख sponsorship तो मैं नहीं help कर सकता, because like I don't have that much funds on me that I can sponsor you. But what I can do is, like, if you want some extra hours of training, like I can come in the morning. I can train you. That much I know, because I've played at the national level consistently. That much I know what it takes to be a national level athlete. Right? So I can train you in the morning. 5:30 in the morning, I'll be there on the court. मेरी अपनी fitness हो जाएगी, तेरी training हो जाएगी. If you're open to that, I'll make the court bookings. I'll use my shuttles, and like we'll play. Right? So he signed up for that. He said, okay, like That's how it started. So I got into the routine of getting up in the morning every day because when you work till 1 in the night or 2 in the night, it's very difficult for any person to get up at 5 in the morning. So, but I got into a habit of that, waking up at 5 in the morning, being on court at 5:30 and training with him till 7:38, and after that pushing off for office. But that was my high point. That was my day's high point. That was my day's highlight. And when I saw all these strokes coming back, because like if you're obese, if you have not been fit for a long time, right? It is not that easy. Your mind thinks कि यार ये तो तू ऐसे उठा लेता था, तू यहाँ पे तो ऐसे move कर जाता था, but your body does not react. Correct. Right? And it can be very frustrating. Right? But like then I wanted to train again. I wanted to become fit again so that like I can play well. And that kind of started reflecting in my work, in my corporate life. I started becoming a lot more positive as a person. I started sleeping better. Even with 4-5 hours of sleep, I started sleeping really well, right? And I would wake up fresh in the morning, right? I was on top of my to-do list, right? I believe I grew more confident in my conversations, right? And all that happened only because I brought a sport into my life. And, like that's how it began. And in a way, I myself was a case study for this, like of what a sport can do to a corporate working professional.
वो बोलते हैं ना फिटनेस और even any skill किसी की जागीर नहीं होती है. It's not like you can own anything. Like for example, if I practice a skill and I master it and become like a master of it, right?
Yeah.
I can't still own it for the rest of my life. I still have to come back and practice.
Exactly.
And if I leave the practice for a few years, it will not stay with me. It'll come back quickly. That's fair enough. But I'll have to work towards it and bring it back again.
Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, like for professional players, even if they don't, even if they're out of training for like 3 days or 5 days, they feel the difference on court.
True.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful, sir. So this is, I think it's a beautiful story. Like I'm loving it because
thank you.
And it feels good that somebody who was in love with a particular thing, it was his passion, and he had to move away from it for various reasons, and then found his way back into the sport in this manner. This is, I think, incredible. But I think this is only half the job done.
Yeah.
Had you stopped there, then this would not have been where it is right now, right?
Yeah.
So you've taken it to another level. How have you done that? Tell us about Racket Ninja.
Yeah, so I think that was a trigger. Like when I started seeing all these differences in my corporate life, because like to be honest, I had been going to the gym a bit. Like I used to do a bit of running, like 15 minutes of running in the gym maybe, but not more than that because that's all the time that I had, right? But after that, when I started doing this, I felt a remarkable change in my personality. I felt a remarkable change in my work. That was the most impressive thing. The personality is okay because like you started doing what you love. Of course, things are going to change in your life, right? But work-wise, being on top of your to-do list, like working better, being more positive in life, like, and consulting is a tough job, right? I was in consulting for almost 12 years. Consulting is a tough job. Like you travel a lot, you talk to various people, and you're always firefighting. There is not a single day in back office, right? You're always talking to the top executives, and you're always firefighting, right? So that's what we did for a living. And the way this kind of changed my life there and the patterns in my life there, I think that was a very positive thing. So in fact, I went back to my dad after that, right? The initial guru in my life, I went back to him and I asked him, we started playing badminton and this is what's been happening with me. And I'm very impressed with it. I want to know from you as a doctor, right? What are these things and why are these things happening? So he said, there are two things to it. One, if you play any aerobic sport, right? That leads to angiogenesis, right? Which is formation of new capillaries and improved blood circulation throughout your system. That is one thing. But the second thing is when you learn a new skill or you rediscover a new skill, that leads to neurogenesis, which is formation of new connections in your neurons or even formation of new neural networks or revival of old neural networks, right? So when these two things happen in combination, that's the kick that you're getting. Right? Which you did not get probably from gymming or doing anything else because badminton is not only brute muscular strength. There's a lot of strategy involved.
Of course.
There's a lot of finesse involved. There are a lot of softer strokes. It does not mean that like if a person is very powerful or very fast, it does not mean that he's a good player. Because there's a lot of skill, There's a lot of strategy. We use a lot of finer muscle groups in our body. We use our wrist. Wrist needs to be strong and supple at the same time. Right? A person who has a strong wrist also has a very rigid wrist, which is not good for badminton. Your wrist needs to be very flexible and very strong at the same time. Your body needs to work like a whip. Right? That's when when I train people, when I talk to them, I tell them rigidity is your enemy, because rigidity forbids you from being fast. Right? So you need to be very flexible. You need to be very agile. And you use a lot of finer muscle groups. We use our fingers a lot, right? To turn the racket, to use different strokes. There's a thing called finger power, right? We use that term a lot in badminton. In any stroke, you add finger power. So you're exercising a lot.
What is finger power?
So basically, there are different ways of holding a racket. There are different ways of holding the racket grip. And in every grip, there is a power finger, there are support fingers, and there's a finger which acts as a rudder. For example, if I use a forehand grip, which is a normal handshake grip, my three fingers, which are my middle finger, my ring finger, and my small finger, these become the support fingers. My index finger becomes a power finger. That's the finger through which I exert force. So for example, if I'm hitting a forehand toss, that's a finger through which I exert force. Or if I lift with my forehand, that's the finger with which I use. And my thumb is my control finger. But when I change my grip to a backhand grip, my thumb becomes the power finger. Right? I exert all my force using my thumb. Right? And all the other four fingers become my support fingers. Right? So, there's a lot of, what I'm trying to say is that not only are we training larger muscle groups in the body, we're also focusing a lot on finer muscle groups. We're focusing a lot on cognitive skills, right? That's why people get a kick out of playing racket sports. And when I realized this, I think, okay, this is a wonderful thing. But and then the consultant in me kind of, started thinking, but why hasn't this been packaged like this till now? Right? If this is such a wonderful solution to fitness, why isn't somebody doing this? Right? And why can't we take badminton and make it 10 times more fun? Right? 10 times more fun, 10 times more intense.
So how is Racket Ninja doing that?
Oh yes. So in fact, before I jump into that, I would just like to add that up till now, the entire focus had been on professional badminton. Okay, professional badminton means that if you want to train like an athlete, if you want to train as an athlete, and you aspire to be in the top ranks in the country or even in the world, that's professional badminton. Okay. But recreational badminton is like you going with your friends and playing a game of badminton.
Correct.
Right? But in recreational badminton, that is, I think everywhere, that is the only thing that we have right now. As in going with your friends and playing badminton. We have a few people playing in front of us right now, in a similar fashion. Right? But what if in this format, this is a good exercise, but it is not an optimum exercise. It is not organized in a particular way. It is fun, you can have fun once a month, probably on the weekends. But how do you make this a regime? How do you make this a regime? How do you package this? How
you
do
need a hook that keeps you coming back to it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And plus, what happens is, when recreational players play, every rally, there's a rally going in front of us right now. You would notice that every rally is not more than 4 or 5 strokes. So for 4 or 5 strokes, your heart rate is going up to probably 120, 130. And as soon as the shuttle drops down, you pick up the shuttle and you come back to serve, it is back to 110. Right? That is the level. And if you're moving, if you're not moving, it does not happen. Right? If you're moving, that's what happens. But through this program, through the Racket Ninja program of training recreational players, what we have done is we have included everything in badminton, which is the same way a badminton athlete trains. We've moderated it for the recreational players, made it 10 times more fun by including different training formats, be it strength training, be it speed, agility, flexibility, strength endurance, speed endurance, all of these things. And we have devised a lot of fun ways of doing that.
Okay. So let's say I'm a corporate guy.
Yeah.
I currently don't play badminton.
Yeah.
But I come back home and I want to do some sort of an exercise, but I don't want to do gym and I don't want to, maybe I don't like running and all of that.
Yeah.
So I can come to a facility like yours. This is in Gurgaon.
Yes.
South City 1.
Yeah, we are based out of Ultrix Recreation Club, South City 1, Gurgaon.
Is this the only place you guys are at?
Oh yes, that's the only place right now. But very soon we'll be there around Delhi NCR.
So let's say I work in any of these big buildings in Gurgaon, and in the evening I want a good workout and I want to play a sport. So let's say I join Racket Ninja and I
Yeah.
come here for badminton,
Yeah.
what I will get is I have no ambitions of becoming competitive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what you're saying is it still pays, it still is beneficial for me
Yeah.
in multiple ways to
Yeah.
take badminton a little more seriously. Like I don't have to take it seriously as in like have goals around it, put myself under pressure.
See,
and all
Vipin, the
that. Not that,
seriousness.
but,
So,
but what I'm saying is,
yeah.
let's say because this I've recently read this book called Peak.
Okay.
In which they talk about mastering anything. You can learn
Yeah.
anything and become great at it
Yeah.
through deliberate practice.
Yeah.
So in the book itself, they give an example of tennis, and I think it's very similar to badminton as well. Let's say you pick up the racket for the first time and you play a few shots with a few friends over the weekend, right? So as you do more of this, you become better, right?
Yeah.
But after a while, you will start noticing there are certain shots that you just can't handle.
Yeah.
Right? Certain smashes coming at you, you just can't handle it.
Yeah.
आपको हर बार लग रहा है गलत, but then what are you going to do? You just make peace with the fact कि ठीक है ये मुझे नहीं आता, and then you
so
just
you
go to avoid
find a workaround.
You try and find a workaround, और नहीं होगा तो you make peace कि ठीक है. You try and avoid getting smashes, whatever shot that you're uncomfortable with, and then you don't progress beyond that. No matter how much you play, आप उसी level पे फिर आप रहते हो.
Right.
Because to go beyond that requires deliberate practice.
Yes.
पर जब तक आप नया सीख रहे थे ना, enthusiasm रहता है, your new neural patterns are forming, and you're learning that skill, right? And that and once you're in that improvement loop, it keeps you coming back to itself. आपको बुलाता रहता है वो जब तक एक कुछ करने को वहाँ पे एक गोल है हल्का सा, right? छोटा, not too serious, but if it's a goal, if it's something that you're trying to learn, it's the hook that you might be looking for, right?
Yeah, so Vipin, exactly. So what happens is, so for example, if you were to join the Racket Ninja program, right, for recreational training, right, what would happen is, one, of course, practicing any skill makes you better. But if there's a fun way of doing it, right, that makes it even more enjoyable. So what happens usually is, people in their, mid-20s or 30s, and people who are working in the corporates are looking for a healthy outlet, right? And, this is one of those healthy outlets. What happens is, even if you don't know how to play badminton, or even if you have not picked up a racket ever in your life, we have people who are 25 years old and we have people who are 70 years old also, right? We cater to a lot of people from different backgrounds, right? What happens is you learn a new skill slowly. But, as you pick up a new skill, for example, the first day, you're not able to contact the shuttle, right? But through some exercises, some drills, you learn to contact the shuttle. Now you move on to the next level, right? Now you can contact the shuttle. Now I want you to hit the shuttle to the mid-court. But you're not able to do that because there is a lot of technique which goes into it, right? Then you practice that technique, then move on to the next level. So as you move on, your fitness level also needs to increase. So if we talk about composite strokes, what if I want you to hit a toss and then quickly go to the net and place the shuttle on the net with a particular speed, right? And balance your body at the same time. For that, you need your quads to be really strong. You need your hamstrings to pull you back. You need your core to make you stable on the net. So all these fitness activities also need to go into it. So that's how we have designed the program broadly.
Okay, and you're saying even elderly, like
yes,
people in their 60s, people in the 60s,
70s. We have people in the 70s playing badminton.
As long as you can walk, you can play badminton.
Oh yes, you can. Because a lot of things change. The beauty about this program is that it is not one shoe fits all. We have, this program is completely customized to your requirement. If all of us have different body types. We have people who are diabetic. We have people, who have multiple vitamin deficiencies. We have people who have osteoporosis. We have people who are elderly, like really elderly, right? But the beauty about this game and about this program is that you can modulate the game and you can moderate the program as per your requirement. That's what we do, right? For example, if Vipin has a particular style of playing, right, and if he's at one level, the entire training would be to get Vipin to the next level, which is based upon the level where he's starting, right? Not कि ये एक standard program है, आपको आके आज ये करना है. We don't follow that format.
Yeah, it can be a form of cross-training for people like us.
Yes. And in fact, it's a very, it's a fantastic way of cross-training. As a badminton athlete myself, I used to do swimming for cross-training, right? Because you would, as an athlete, you would also appreciate that different, games or different kinds of fitness brings different fitness faculties to your body. right? मतलब अगर आप बैडमिंटन खेल रहे हैं, so even if I were to bring a triathlete to this court, it would be very hard for him to last 15 minutes in a very intense rally.
Correct.
Right? Or 15 minutes of thorough multi-shuttle training.
Correct.
It will be very hard for him. Like I can, you can mark my words on that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because this is speed endurance.
Yeah.
This is speed endurance. This is strength endurance. We are talking about explosive strength. We are talking about short bursts of strength being repeated several number of times with speed. And it has velocity to it. It's not only speed, it's velocity rather. You're moving in one direction, stopping your body, changing direction with explosive strength, moving in the other direction. And your movement is 3D. You're also jumping. Right? It's not only two-dimensional. So that's why this kind of fitness is very different.
It's very different, and I can see massive benefits of such a thing, because in my opinion, I'm a long distance runner, right? So we just do one movement for hours and hours and hours and hours, right? And we have a lot of stiffness and all of those issues. But as far as longevity is concerned, I want to be, let's say, a fully functional, healthy individual who has a lot of energy every day to go about his business, everything that I want to do, right? So to be able to do that, to be able to build that, I think if I'm doing strength and conditioning, which is going to help me with this agility and develop some explosive strength, maneuvering, all of that, I think that is the kind of fitness that is more functional fitness. Like to be able to run for 5 hours is not functional fitness. Like you're never in this life, trust me, you're never going to be required to run for 5 hours. Like, because that's not the world that we live in. Right? Well, let's hope you don't have
Vipin, I think that's very true. So you just mentioned functional training. So the beauty of this game is that functional training, of course, we can do outside court. But the kind of drills that we use, stroke practice, multi-shuttle, a lot of agility movements on the court, that kind of makes it very interesting of how functional training can be done in synergy with the sport. So you're not only training, right? You're having fun while doing it because it's a game. Right? So that's how people get hooked to it. It's not just doing, okay, I need you to do 50 splits right now. Right? Or I need you to do 50 squats right now. When you're on court, you're always crouching. Your quads are 100% engaged always. Your core is engaged always when you're moving forward and moving backward, right? And the agility will come through your footwork. There are court exercises to teach you footwork, and that will bring agility by default, right? So you're like, that's the things that we focus on, and this automatically happens, and people enjoy it so much because it happens in a game format.
But when I come here to play badminton, along with the exercises, right? How will I find people of my same skill, same level? Who will I play with?
So we have a bunch of people. So right now in Racket Ninja, we have over 100 people who train with us. Right? We have people from all backgrounds, from every skill set. We also have athletes who were former players. Like people like me, like who want to rediscover badminton. We have people like that. We also have people who have never picked up a racket in their life. Right? We have people who have had organ transplants.
So you have the whole spectrum.
Yes, we have people who have had organ transplants, and now they've been recommended to pick up some sport, and the doctor has recommended that a racket sport will really help, and that's why they are into this program, right? So we have people from all walks of life, all spectrum, and we kind of mix and match the batches. In fact, we have 6 to 7 trainers, who are national level players themselves and who are very enthusiastic badminton trainers and badminton players themselves, right? So every trainer is responsible for moderating those groups, moderating those batches, and conducting the program.
So Adhiraj, some people, what would be your advice to people who don't have an access to a facility near them?
So I don't think a facility is, like a good facility or a facility in itself is a game changer, because you take a walk around the societies in Gurgaon or in Punjab. In fact, my house is in Zirakpur. So if I just go to the facility in the evening, I see so many players and so many people in the park with a badminton net playing badminton, or playing any other racket sport, or playing cricket, maybe. So, a facility is never a barrier. Badminton is one sport. You ask anybody in India, आपने कभी badminton खेला है? उन्होंने हाँ खेला है. कोई भी ये नहीं कहेगा नहीं खेला. It's not that all these people had such facilities. It's just about picking up a racket, picking up a shuttle, and doing your best, right? And these days, you have so much on the internet, right? You have so many tutorials, you have so much on the internet. We did not know, who else to learn from than a government coach who was appointed to our facility. But there is so much knowledge there on the internet. In fact, we have a player here, who trains with us, and he's a very good player. He's a recreational player, but he's a very good player. But he's self-taught. He's self-taught only through YouTube videos, right? And I was surprised when he came in the first day. Kenneth told me, मैंने Kenneth को बोला कि ये तो खेला हुआ लग रहा है. नहीं खेला. He's self-taught. He's never played in his life. Only through YouTube videos, only through practicing through with his friends, he's become this good, and it's possible. Yeah.
So your advice would be then anybody who's not doing anything at the moment, just picking up the racket and the shuttle, will be.
It will make you feel fantastic. It will make you feel fantastic if you get on the ground, sweat a bit, move around, and loosen your muscles on the court. That will make you feel fantastic.
Wonderful, sir. So the podcast is called Find Your Ultra.
Yeah.
What is an ultra life for you, and how are you going about finding it?
So I think, an ultra life, by my definition, I think I am living my ultra life right now. I am doing the thing I love the most. People tell me that I'm a lot more energetic. I'm very energetic on the court. The day I'm not here, I'm kind of thinking why I'm not here, right? And this is the best place I could have been in my life, and I think I'm already there. I'm doing what I've loved all my life, and my only goal is to make this better, make this accessible to more and more people across India.
So if all of your dreams were to come true, let's say whatever you wanted has just gone absolutely as per plan, what do you see happening in the next 10 years?
So there are two things.
This is 23, right?
Yeah.
So if 2033 you come back on the Find Your Ultra podcast, what's happening in the scene?
So there are two things to it. One is, of course, an organization goal, and one is a personal goal, right? I'll take my personal goal first. My personal goal is because I always wanted to be the world champion, right? And that's what I played for. So I want to be the world champion in the Masters category, in the 35 plus category.
What age is the Masters category called?
So once you turn 35, you can participate in the Masters category, which is 35 plus. So there are world championships.
Is there an upper limit?
No.
Okay.
So they have 35 plus, 40 plus, 45 plus. We have all these categories, right? So once you turn 35, you can start participating in the Masters categories. You can play nationals in the Masters categories. You can play world championships in the Master categories, right? So that's why I've been training myself for the last 1.5 years almost now. So because I'm waiting to turn 35. I'm looking forward to turn 35 so that I can enter the court again and start playing tournaments, right? So that is one of my goals. And of course, just to add to my ultra life, that would be another aspect of that ultra life. I would see myself become the world champion in 35 plus. And the second, of course, organization goal, I would say that, not only badminton, I feel all racket sports. I think pickleball has picked up a lot. Not many people know about it, right? Paddle has picked up a lot in, in the Americas, in Europe. And it's a very easy sport that everyone can play, right? It's just about including an element of skill and fun in fitness, right? Anything which does that, we would want to make that more and more accessible to people. We would like to spread out through India. In fact, we also have plans of spreading out abroad very soon, in countries which has a lot of, popularity for badminton and other racket sports. So that's where we see ourselves.
This is beautiful. I think I'm extremely happy to know that your dream of becoming a world champion is still alive.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the very best, Adhiraj. And I really hope you do become the world champion and you come back on the Find Your Ultra podcast and we will talk about your journey to the world championship.
I really hope so. Let's see. It's too early to comment, but let's see.
Yeah. But this is inspiring. This is lovely. Thank you so much for taking time out. And,
thank you, Vipin.
Doing this conversation.
Thank you, Vipin. It was lovely having you.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us till the end. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please consider subscribing and also sharing it with your friends and family. If you have a takeaway or a learning from this episode, or it made you feel a certain way, you can leave us a comment or a review. This is a zero-cost way of supporting the podcast. I really hope you will do it. Also, it is now a weekly podcast, so you can look forward to an episode every Friday. If you subscribe, you will get a notification when a new episode is released. So do it now. See you in the next episode next Friday. Until then, my friends, keep working on finding your ultra.